Hey, this is Jim Ziegler, the Alpha Dawg, and I've got an incredible show for you today. I know I've said that every time, but I'm not lying. This really is an incredible show. I've got the three Amigos on today from these guys. Starting out with Mark Bealin, the founder and CEO. Hello, Mark.
Hi, Jim. Thanks for having me on. It's good to be back with you.
Well, thanks for being here. I mean, I'm looking at the royalty of SEO, SEM, pay-per-click. I mean, this is absolutely incredible. I'm humbled and honored to be in the presence of my friend, Greg Gifford. Hey, big guy.
It's good to see you again, my friend.
One of the foremost experts in the entire universe.
I mean, geez, come on. See, you say stuff like that at the beginning, it puts pressure on me to say smart stuff during the broadcast. And man, that's a Friday. That's a lot of pressure to live up to, you know?
Hey, listen, man, with that beard, you just look like you should be saying some smart stuff, you know, just absolutely. And then we got an award-winning PPC. What did Microsoft say about you, Mark Irvine?
So if you believe the Microsoft, I was the most influential PPC expert in North America in 2019. Now, if you ask PPC Hero, they told you I was the most influential in the world. So I don't know where outside of North America Microsoft has a preference, but
you got some Europeans or Russians edging you out. What's going on here?
I know. I honestly think that the vote was a little. The Russians may have gotten to that vote as well. But
now, let's take the humor out of it. Microsoft said that you were who?
Microsoft called me the most influential PPC expert of 2019.
The most influential expert in the world. The most influential SEM. I mean, this guy, you talk about local search organic. I mean, we got Greg Gifford here. Okay, so Mark Bealin, what does SearchLab do?
We do two things, and that's it. We do local SEO, and we do paid media, so paid search and paid social for small, medium-sized businesses. But our primary category is automotive dealerships. And so we're really just chicken or fish. You're either going to get local SEO or you're going to get PPC. And we really believe that kind of focus, or both, and we really believe that focus gives us a big competitive advantage over the rest of the agencies out there.
So you hired the two foremost experts in the world?
Yeah, these were my two big sales that I got, is to try and somehow convince these two guys to come on board and take a chance on SearchLab. And it's been unbelievable for us ever since.
Well, let's give both of them a raise.
Yeah.
Did you set this up, Greg and Mark?
Yeah.
Now that we've attested to how valuable they are.
Jim, I'll slide you that 20 when we see each other at Digital Dealer.
Yeah, these recordings just go straight into performance review. So.
Okay, well, local SEO. I mean, why is that important, Greg?
Well, most dealers know that SEO is important, whether they actually invest in it or not. But pretty much everybody does what's called traditional SEO, where they're kind of not focusing on a particular area. But Google uses its local algorithm for any searches related to car dealerships. So it's a different algorithm that has a different weight for the signals and actually includes some signals that don't matter for traditional SEO. So while there's overlap in the signals, so some signals matter for both, car dealers really need local SEO because there's a lot of additional stuff that matters. And if they're not doing that, then they're not doing everything they could be doing to get better visibility.
Okay, local SEO. What exactly does that mean? It sounds like, okay, we're gonna advertise to our local market. We're gonna geo market to people that live around us, people that are what I call relevant people. Am I missing something?
No, that's pretty much it. So, if I'm doing a search for a Ford dealership, even if I just type in Ford dealer, it's not going to show me some guy in Detroit that has the best SEO of any Ford dealer in the entire country. It's only going to show me Ford dealers in the North Dallas area because that's where I am right now. And it's going to be based on my location in the real world and what is physically close to me. So if you were just doing regular SEO, your Amazon, your Best Buy, you're doing SEO for no geographic focus. You want to show up everywhere for the search queries that matter for you.
Amazon's marketing to the entire country, of course.
Sure.
I mean,
and sure, car dealers would like to say, sure, I want to show up everywhere because technically I could sell a car to anybody. But realistically, Google understands that if me as a searcher, if I'm going to go buy a car, I'm going to go somewhere where I can sit in it, touch it, feel it, smell it, test drive it. And especially if we look at fixed ops, if I'm getting service on my car, I'm not going to go to Detroit to get my car serviced. I need somewhere close by that I can drive to. So Google's going to constrain those search results to a particular geographic area. Now, local can mean a lot of different things. If I love using the Ford dealer example because there's like 20 Ford stores in the Dallas market. So it's a really dense market.
And there's some of the biggest Ford stores in the country.
For sure. And so what is local to a Ford dealer in Dallas is going to be a lot smaller radius than a Ford dealer in like Wyoming, where there's not another Ford point for 100 miles in any direction. Local for that guy is going to be a much wider radius because here in Dallas, it's going to be a lot more based on proximity and where I am and what the closest dealers are to some degree, but also how good their SEO is. The guy in Wyoming, you could drive 30 minutes in any direction to another town, and there's just not a Ford store there. So that guy's still going to rank no matter what. So it's still the fact that you have to pay attention to the signals that matter for local SEO to optimize your digital footprint. Because at a basic level, Google is pattern detection. It's going to look at various signals and patterns and classify those patterns. So doing SEO gives you a better pattern to help ensure that you're going to show up better than your competitors.
You just blew up every dealer's head, okay? I mean, Mark Irvine, let me ask you a question. How does that relate to PPC, paid per click?
Yeah, so I think that the big fact of all of this is that Google announced earlier this summer that the average person will visit your website 27 times before they put a foot on your dealership lot.
Wait a second, 27 times?
Yeah, so they're going to do research. They're likely to visit your site 27 times or your competitor's site 27 times.
They're fine-tuning their information.
Exactly.
They started out looking at 3 or 4 dealerships. Mm-hmm. Now they've narrowed it down to 2 or 3. Now they're down to 1. Now they're going back to that over and over again. Looking at
exactly. Okay. And you'll see this, like particularly, hey, dealerships know that foot traffic is down, particularly to what it was pre-COVID. But that's because a lot of people are now preloading what they're doing with a good amount of online research. So if you're thinking about this and you're thinking about people are doing a lot of time researching online, they're comparing you against that dealership that's a half an hour away or 5 minutes away, and the CarMaxes, the Car Gurus, the everything else of the world that's available online. They're looking at Craigslist, all of that along the way. They're doing those 27 searches on Google. They're going to find you organically via SEO a good amount of that time, but you know that even if you believe that they're only going to click on your ad half of the time, a tenth of the time, those are still important impressions that you want to show off for along the way. So you talk about really completing your strategy. It's not, Mark says it's chicken or steak. It's really surf and turf. You want to be able to show up a little bit for both the organic and the paid, particularly for those people who have done many searches along the way. A big focus of what our PPC team here does is really about how can we take the traffic that that arrives to your site organically, people who are browsing particular makes, models, people who show genuine interest, and how can we make sure that the next time that they search, because we know that they're going to search another time, at least 1, 2, probably a dozen more times before they arrive on your store, how can we make sure that those people who are engaged with your site continue to find you, and let's put money towards making sure that they don't find someone else.
Fantastic. Now, Mark, how are your clients receiving this information? How are you translating this into sales?
So yeah, I think that's I think Mark said it very well. One of the things that we want to do is have a collaborative approach. So if you're using multiple vendors for this kind of work, yeah, there's going to be something lost in translation when people are on the same Slack channel, they're communicating internally, and their leaders are communicating internally, and their leaders are as good as these two. The results for our clients kind of speak for themselves. And so, yeah, we use extensive reporting. We're trying to be as transparent as possible with our clients, but really the magic is that by combining the two services, it starts to be like the sum of the parts are greater than the whole. So I love like watching these two guys work together, and I think that's really the magic for our dealers, is to see when those two big brains can get together on strategy. The end result for our clients is really amazing.
So let's go to Greg a second. Google My Business.
Yep.
Oh, that's a question.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Google My Business is absolutely vital to dealerships for a bunch of reasons. Most importantly, your Google My Business listing is your first impression with potential customers. It's like your new homepage. All the people that used to go to your website to get your phone number to call you, to get your address to find you, to look at pictures, to read reviews, do all those things, they don't have to go to your site to do that anymore. They do that on Google My Business. Now on mobile, they can even see your inventory on Google My Business, because if you're working with the right person, you can feed that inventory into your profile. More importantly, Google My Business is what allows you to show up in that map pack. So when you do a search and you've got the map and the 3 results underneath, if you don't have Google My Business, you're not going to show up there, or in Google Maps. And then if you have it, maybe you could show up there, but optimizing it is really important. Choosing the right categories.
Wait. You mean when I Google something, there's a map, and it's got 3 pins on it, three red pins, and that is because these people have a great Google My Business page set up?
Yes, along with their website signals. But Google My Business is more weighted in that map pack with the 3 results than the website. So which categories you choose are really important. It's also super important that dealerships have a separate Google My Business listing for service and a separate listing for parts that are nested under the primary listing. And so when you go to the primary listing, you'll see a thing that says departments and lists the parts and service department. Now you can get separate reviews on the different places. You're more likely to show up for fixed stop searches. There's a whole lot of stuff that's there that should be done that most dealerships don't do.
Wait a second. Now, I'm sure most dealerships are already doing this.
You would be really surprised at how many don't.
Okay, so you're telling me that now wait, so you guys do this, don't you? I mean, you do this for your clients?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
This is one of the services you do. You build basically their Google My Business?
Yeah, and we optimize it. We do Google posts. We do all the questions and answers. We do all the review responses. Google My Business is absolutely vital to dealerships, and so many people ignore it. In fact,
wait a second. You're managing their reputation too? That you've got.
Oh yeah, 100%. Because reviews are a huge part of the local algorithm as well.
Holy cow! I mean, see, people don't realize what goes into the services you guys offer.
Oh yeah, and like a crazy little story here. I'm speaking at a 20 group this weekend. And so one of the things that I do when I speak at 20 groups is I have a scoring matrix, because, I'm going to get a list of all the dealers that are going to be at that 20 group, so then I can look at their websites and actually score them on their SEO. So I'm looking at signals on their website. I'm looking at their links. I'm looking at their review scores, and I'm looking at their Google My Business listing. And then we have various elements that we score on, but then for the website score is multiplied by a certain number. Each one is multiplied by a certain number so that it gives the website and the Google My Business more weight over the links and the reputation bit. And the dealership that won out of the 25 dealers that are going to be at this 20 group meeting, the guy that won, the main part of the reason he won is because he was by far light years above everybody else on his Google My Business listing and doing all the things that he should be doing.
You're kidding.
So even though, because I can sort I have individual columns for each score and then the aggregate column, even if I sort by who had the best optimization on their site, it's not that guy. If I sort by who had the most links, it's not that guy. If I sort by who had the best reputation management practices, as far as like the best review score, the most review responses, blah, 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 it's not that guy. That guy did win Google My Business. But basically the way that the scores break down, website is 40%, Google My Business is 40%. Most of the other dealers are really bad. Some dealers actually had a negative score on Google My Business because they did so many things wrong.
Let's slow up a second here. Mark Bealin.
Yeah.
Now, Greg is doing this for the 20 group, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's scoring. Will you do that for the people watching this broadcast?
Absolutely. And, you know, just
wait. I mean, even if they don't pay you?
Yeah. Hey, Jim, does this Rob Gehring from Fixed Performance phone number, is that showing on the broadcast right now? That's down at the bottom?
Oh, my gosh, I'm sorry.
Switch that out. Switch that out.
Switch that out. And let's put you. I'm so sorry.
No worries.
Previous broadcast. Okay.
No, it's fine. Put in greg@searchlabdigital.com, my email address. And anybody watching, you guys can email me at greg@searchlabdigital.com and say, I watched the Alpha Dawg broadcast. I want you to score my dealership. And we'll run you through this and let you know how you did for free.
You will score their entire dealership's SEO?
I will. Now, it's not like an in-depth audit, but it's a pretty good gauge of, hey, look, you could have a maximum of 100 points here. How many points did you get? How do you fall in that range? What do you look like?
What's your phone number?
My phone number is, I don't know. Hang on.
Okay.
It is 312.
Okay. Slowly. Okay.
So 312-584-4757.
Let's see how I did here. Is that better?
That is good, but you'd be better. Change the @ to like an @ symbol, so it's actually my email address, because it'd be much better for people to email me than call me, because for the next 2 weeks, I'm traveling almost the whole time, and it's going to be difficult to answer phone calls because I'm speaking at a bunch of events.
Hey, listen, I'm a high school graduate. I can figure this out. Hey, I mean, you're not dealing with some dumbass here. Okay. Okay, SearchLab Digital. Okay, hang on.
Like, I just dropped my email address in that private chat there. You can just copy that if you want.
Hey, listen, man.
Try to make it easy for you.
Got this, big boy. Don't worry about it. We got it. Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, unless Robert at Fix Ops is really excited to get a lot of GMB audits through his phone call.
Yeah, Rob has got it.
Yep, there we go.
Greg at SearchLabDigital.com. Is that correct?
That is correct. And obviously, you guys can call me too if you want. Just realize I'm probably not going to answer if it's over the next week and a half.
But they can text you.
So,
they can.
Yeah.
So I'll say one more thing about it, Jim. Like, the other thing is we put all our existing clients through this scoring system too. So Google will make changes and adjust over time in their algorithm. Anybody who's a client will benefit from, they'll be audited on this as those changes go through. And so Greg's going to look at it as everything is today. In 2 years, things might be different, but we're going to continue to use this scoring system for any internal clients. So we really value it. And it's a huge addition for what Greg has created.
Just got a call from Rob. Rob, thanks you. Okay, so now I have got a greater insight into what SearchLab Digital does. Okay, so you're not just going to build their Google My Business, you're going to manage it basically for your clients.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, we're talking about totally manage it. Anybody watching this broadcast could get a free digital analysis from Greg, the foremost expert in the universe. Where does Mark Irvine fit into that equation?
I mean, I fit in wherever needed. And so, like, even as you chat about, so long as there's ad dollars behind it, really.
Okay. So if Greg's you'll bring him a cup of coffee.
Exactly. I'm not gonna go in and do a whole lot of Google posts for you organically. But as we chat about Google My Business, you see a huge wealth of traffic that comes through your Google My Business. It, of course, not even traffic, but visibility on the SERP, particularly in your local area, particularly for people who are searching for a Ford dealership near them. Hell, not even Ford dealership near them, but quite frankly, just Ford dealership. If I do that search in Boston, it's going to show me Ford dealerships in Boston. And so with that, that's a huge opportunity for dealerships to get on the Google SERP, on the Bing SERP. But what Greg didn't mention there is there's a way to accelerate that performance, and that's that. Like at that top, you mentioned you see those.
Did Greg left it out, or just had
yeah,
a brain,
listen,
there, brain cramp? What?
No. Like there's as Greg's saying, there's a lot of people who don't even have a Google My Business or don't have a Google My Business that anyone would want to see, right?
Don't get it.
Now, as we chat about, hey, you've got to Google My Business, you want people to see it. You mentioned earlier, there's those 3 results that show up at when you do that search. Well, sometimes one of those results is an ad. And sometimes it's not 3 red pins, but sometimes it's 2 red pins and a green pin. And you can begin to use your Google My Business as a paid listing itself. And so this is something that a lot of advertisers, not just
wait a second. You can use Google My Business as a paid listing. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so you have to have an eagle eye for this. But if you do that search on Google today, right? Yeah, exactly. Put on your glasses, put up the lighting. But if you do that Google search today, very often, whether or not it's for car dealerships or pizza near me or something like that, if you're paying close attention to that local 3-pack, occasionally you see this very, very small marker next to it that reads that it's an ad. And so that's simply people who are taking their Google My Business and turning it into something called a local ad. And so with that, you can specifically begin to show across results on you can guarantee eligibility for your map result placement. You can guarantee eligibility in the local 3-pack. In fact, if you want to get really, really sophisticated, really technical with it, you can have it. Of course, you can have it so that when people are searching on Google Maps, it'll suggest an autocomplete, and that autocomplete itself is even an ad. And so once you have the strong foundations of Google My Business, and you feel really confident with the fact that you want a lot of people to see it, it's not that much money. You're seeing that on average, dealerships paying about $1,000 a month to simply take what's a great Google My Business listing, putting it up there, getting things like 6 cent cost per engagement with it. But quite frankly, 6 cents times 1,000 people seeing it, that's some meaningful results back to exactly who's in market, particularly like those people who are looking for a dealership, who are looking on maps. If we talk about those 26 times that 27 times someone's doing a search, those times when they're looking for where you are and when you're open are quite frankly probably one of the last couple of times. And so it's kind of that like very low funnel.
You know the progression of the funnel. I mean, you know the progression of the stages that they're in, and you can predict. Okay, I understand now. Let me ask you a question, Mark Irvine. On pay-per-click, you've obviously got competitors that are shooting at you. You're shooting at them. And my philosophy as a consultant for 35 years has been to eat the slowest antelope first. I'm going to kill the slowest antelope. So you have the ability to know what your competitors are spending?
Not so much what they're spending, but you can see specifically when you're showing ads, who else is showing ads on that kind of keyword. And you can see how often you guys compete in the same auctions against one another. And so with that, like you do get a better perspective of what their strategy is versus how you can pivot to be a little bit different in the marketplace. There's a lot of people, particularly in automotive, that they're running the same strategy that they've been running since 2010, 2015, 2016. It may have worked well in 2016, but I caution people who see like, oh, my competitors are doing this. Very likely your competitors are doing this and it may not be working for them.
Very likely your competitors are using a Shift Digital vendor that hasn't updated their strategies in 5 years.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get at here, guys. What I'm trying to get at, can you know basically who is coming under the radar screen and stealing your local business? And see, we're not competing with other dealers. We are competing with car gurus. We are competing with TrueCar. competing with vendors. We're not competing with other dealers. So how can Google My Business and all the things you do, and I'll ask Greg or Mark this, or Mark, how can we at SearchLab contribute to taking down the competitors, whether they're another dealer or whether they're a vendor who wants to steal your customers and rent them back to you?
Oh, well, it's easy because we will never be in any of the Ford Direct, Shift Digital, Internet Brands programs. Those OEM approved programs, this is the only industry in the world where you have some third-party go-between between like a manufacturer and the endpoint that gets to dictate what the endpoint does for their marketing. I get that the manufacturers, when this all came about, said, okay, great, we know a lot of dealers won't put any effort into this, or they'll use somebody really sucky. Maybe some oversight here is good, but the problem is now that once you're in that program, you have to take anybody that wants to sign up with you. So you end up with a situation like, again, using Dallas, 20 Ford stores. It's highly likely that at least 4 or 5 of those Ford stores are using the exact same vendor for SEO and paid search as the other 5 guys. Which
let me make a comment about that.
Do what?
If you have an OEM mandated website, which comes through a third or fourth party like Shift Digital, if you've got an OEM mandated website, if you have an OEM mandated agency, they're not paid to be competitive.
Bingo.
Yeah, no, their only interest is in selling to as many dealers as they possibly can, because that's how the program works.
But they don't want to favor one dealer over another because they're not paid to be competitive.
Well, and it's not even that they don't want to. I mean, they want their dealers to succeed because obviously if you've got a dealer using your program, you want to do what you can within the constraints of that program to help that dealership so that they're going to stick around. But the problem is, it's really evident on the paid search side. And, Sean Raines, beard in the hair, everybody that's been around long enough to remember that. One of the things that he and I always used to like to talk about when we were talking to dealers is you could come into any major market in the US and do a search for, Ford Mustang, a Tahoe, whatever, and you'll see those 4 ads at the top of search results, and 3 or 4 of the ads are word for word exactly the same thing, and there's zero differentiation. Because when you're doing paid search with those guys, it's literally, oh, you're a Ford dealer. They click a button, it generates your campaign, and then it runs on full automation. And it's exactly the same as what everybody else gets. So how are you going to stand out? Even worse, when it comes to SEO, everything that they do is exactly the same for every dealership. And again, using the Ford example, a Ford dealer in Dallas needs different SEO. Now, the signals are the same. The things that you need to optimize are the same, but the strategy behind it is different for that Ford guy in Dallas than for the Ford guy in Wyoming that doesn't have another Ford dealer for a 100-mile radius in any direction. So you have to think about the fact that both on the SEO side and the paid search side, if you're going to invest money in your marketing to grow your business, why would you want to invest in something that is the same cookie cutter BS that everybody else is getting, instead of investing into something where that partner is going to look at your needs and your digital footprint and what you've done in the past and where your customers are and where you're located, and then create a customized strategy specifically for your dealership.
Like Steven Stassi is a good friend of mine for many years in the Chicagoland market. Steve just put a comment on the screen.
And Steve, yes, the co-op does play into that, but the OEM mandate doesn't exist specifically so you can use co-op. The co-op exists specifically to strongly suggest to dealers that they use the people in the program. Okay, so it's kind of the other way around. It's not the program exists for co-op. It's that co-op exists for the program.
I've had dealers say to me, Greg, Jim, I know it's a really sucky vendor and they don't produce but crappy results, but it is co-op and I get paid for it.
I hear the same things.
Yeah, we hear it all the time, but who cares? It's like you're burning monopoly money. You're spending money. Think of it like, I like to use a race example. You're going to the racetrack and you're going to drive in a race and you've got 5 cars to choose from. 4 of them are spec'd out and they're exactly the same car. And they're all Celicas. And then there's a Lamborghini. But you have to pay some money for gas. You're going to spend more money for gas for the Lambo because it burns more gas than the Celica. But guess what? The guys in the Celica, it all comes down to their driving skills. The guy in the Lamborghini, unless he just absolutely can't drive, is guaranteed to win the race. Why would you choose one of the Celicas when you could choose the Lamborghini and just have to pay a little bit more to win?
Yeah, like if we want to get specific on like the specific dollars of this, and previously before I was at SearchLab, I had the pleasure of working at a large PPC company. We managed about 30,000 advertisers, and so with that, like of course, I got the pleasure to see some people take an approach with direct competitors with each other, right? That's fine in itself. I had no problem with that, but a reality of it is that some of your competitors, hey, if you're working with 10 dealerships and they've all got co-op of 8K, and you've got this other guy that's willing to put 80K of his own money into it. Well, factually, that guy with 80K gets prioritized, and he's going to do a whole lot more with his money than those guys who are doing the same cut and paste 8K. Quite frankly, as I chat with like our dealerships about what they're doing, knowing the fact that there's a CarMax out there, knowing the fact that there's Car Gurus out there, knowing that there are these giant national guys who aren't constricted by this arbitrary number of co-op, they're going to put money into Google because it's putting results back to them.
Right.
A lot of that conversation for us is, I don't want to tell you to spend Car Guru's money, CarMax money on it, but a big way that we can help you.
What a great analogy. I mean, CarMax is killing it in most markets, but they're not even mindful of co-op. They
have no idea.
Right thing.
They have no idea. And so with that, as you chat, I'm not saying, hey, go spend millions of dollars in PPC. If you'd like to, call me. But by all means, the most important thing that I can do, particularly sitting alongside a team that does organic, is I need to instruct you of really where not to spend your money.
Yeah.
Because we see the fact that there's so many easy ways to burn through a co-op budget because it's fake money. And there are too many people who are doing that. So it almost doesn't matter what your competitors are doing. We almost need to find out what you're currently doing that's not working, and put more money towards where that high ROI is. Now, as we chat about the things that are coming out of Google, the things that are coming out of Microsoft, hell, the word Microsoft even, a lot of these people, because it is those direct, those partner groups exist, they're willing to take your co-op money, they know that they have that relationship with the OEM, you can copy paste, you can run the same ads time and time again. They're not eager to do things like make a paid Google My Business listing. Because that's something that came out fairly recently on the Google side. You know, that would involve that entire team taking 20,000 advertisers and getting them up, going in, learning Google My Business, going in, learning how to add ad dollars towards it, and going in and figuring out how that works out with the OEM and co-op. That's a bunch of meetings and a bunch of paperwork that a lot of people are unwilling to sit down through, and it might come through in an API update years down the line so that their softwares can manage it. I know that challenge all too seriously. I'm thrilled that I don't need to go through that several year-long dance to get you the results that like are going to be important to you. Even as we chat, several years, and like even as you begin to chat about this co-op thing, most of the people who I chat to that have previously gone through these programs, they will tell you a whole lot about what they did with Google Ads.
I will make a statement right now, and I will stand by the statement. Most of the manufacturer co-op programs managed by a third or fourth party are corrupt. I said that, and excuse me, whether the corrupt people work for the manufacturer or whether they work for the third party, there is a collusion of corruption somewhere. You know, it's obvious. Because when you start mandating the crappiest vendor in the segment, I mean the worst performing vendor, and co-op and mandate that the dealers use that crappy vendor, somewhere there is corruption. I mean, it's absolute stupidity.
I mean, Greg, what would you say, Greg? I mean, I heard Mark say that we're running into a lot of things where it's like 2016-ish tactics. When we look at SEO campaigns, I would say that might even be generous to say 2016. What would you say when we're kind of evaluating performance of other vendors?
I mean, for sure, there's vendors out there that have not updated their strategies since they got added into that OEM program in 2014 or 2015. And Google, on the organic side, released over 3,000 updates to the algorithm last year and does so pretty much every year. So if we're looking at
up to date on that stuff, Greg?
Oh, yeah. But then if we're looking at, say there's, let's say, because I suck at math, there's 1,000 updates to Google a year.
You're reading all that. No wonder you don't have time to shave.
Yeah, exactly. So if we're saying let's make the math easy, because I can't do math in my head because I live in Excel way too much and just don't have to anymore. Let's say there's 1,000 updates a year and somebody hasn't updated since 2015. That's 6,000 Google updates that have occurred.
And you're talking about a competing vendor right now.
Well, I'm talking about pretty much everybody out there. Like if you're like, whether you're in the program or whether you're not in the program, if you're not staying up to date with, or if you're using your own internal team at a dealer group or even a dealership that's very big and has their own marketing team or marketing person, if you're not paying attention to what's changing, you're still going to be outdated and you're still not going to be doing the best that you could do to get more visibility, especially if you haven't updated in 3 or 4 years.
Correct?
Do what?
SearchLab Digital can ride to the rescue and correct all this.
Definitely so.
Definitely so. I would say one more thing, Jim, if I could, is, we talked about Mark's accolades at the beginning, but 2 people on our team, Greg and our director of SEO, Hannah Borchik, are Google product experts. And so they have a seat at the table really to have dialogue with Google about these updates as they come out.
Oh, and back up on that. We brushed over that too quick. They're Google product expert. Well, tell me about that.
Google product expert. So I'll let Greg describe the program, but basically there are a lot of certifications that you can get through Google and through other things that don't really mean anything. Anybody can get them. A product expert is really, really one of the elite experts in the whole world at what they are. There's product experts for all the different Google products.
If this was the Boy Scouts, Greg would be an Eagle Scout.
Bingo. Yep.
Okay.
So basically what it is, for every Google product, whether it's Gmail or, AdWords, Google My Business, Google Maps, all the different Google products, there are community forums that people can go to and post, hey, I've got a question how to do this, or I've got a problem. Those forums are staffed by volunteers, not by Google employees. And so if you're a volunteer and you go in and you stick to 1 or 2 of the forums and you answer things on a consistent basis and your answers are quality answers that help people, you get invited to be what's called a Google product expert. So Google will come to you and say, hey, look, we want you to be in this product expert program. There are different levels of the program. Once you're in the program and you consistently still answer questions and are helpful in those answers, eventually you make it to either a gold or platinum level. The gold and platinum level product experts have signed an NDA with Google, and I'm a gold expert. So I have an NDA that goes out for 5 years covering things that I am allowed to talk about, things that I'm not allowed to talk about. And I have a weekly meeting with the Google My Business team. Now,
wait a minute. Greg, Google's got you in on the secret stuff?
Oh, yeah. I got all kinds of secrets. I know stuff that's coming a couple of years from now that I can't even talk about.
If you told me you'd have to kill me?
Yeah, exactly. So I have a weekly stand. I'm actually missing the meeting right now. It's 10 o'clock every Friday, but I have a meeting every Friday with all the other gold and platinum product experts and the Google My Business team, where we talk about what's going on so that we can better help the people and we can help the Google team make things better. So I have a very intimate knowledge of what works and what's important with Google My Business.
I mean, you're on the inside with Google. I wasn't aware of that. I mean, you are gold level certified. I mean, that's incredible. Do you get a T-shirt or something?
I actually do have a T-shirt. I don't have it. I do have a T-shirt.
Really?
Yeah.
Incredible. Now, you're speaking at Digital Dealer again, aren't you?
I am speaking at Digital Dealer again. I am one of the lucky few that I have a double 1-hour session. So a lot of the sessions are a half hour this time. And then the ones that aren't a half hour, typically an hour. But I have 2 back-to-back 1-hour sessions. So I have a lot of time to talk about awesome stuff. And we'll have a booth there, too.
When I was doing my own conferences, you were the star of the show, big boy. I mean, absolutely. I'm always proud to have you on stage.
I always love coming to your conferences. I get why you're not doing battle plan anymore, but I miss it because it was such a kick-ass conference.
It was a lot of fun, wasn't it? We did some
magic. It was a good time.
Remember Teach at the Beach in Myrtle Beach?
That was like the last one, or not Myrtle Beach. The last one was the one in Clearwater, wasn't it?
Clearwater, Florida.
Yep.
I did 5 Teach at the Beach. People like Teach at the Beach better than they like the casino venues.
Yeah, the Myrtle Beach one though was probably my favorite one I ever did. That one was a
Wasn't
blast.
it great? I mean,
yeah.
You know, that Sheridan Conference Center.
It was a cool place.
And we had
and you know, funny enough, that popped up on. I have the app called Time Hop that shows you things that you posted on the anniversary of that day on social media platforms. You know, a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and the Myrtle Beach one popped up. I think it was like a month ago.
It popped up on mine too. Yeah, it did.
Yeah, because that was right when Pokemon Go came out on mobile phones, and I hadn't really played it yet. And I got there, and Bobby Heron had started playing it, and so she kind of taught me how to play. And we walked all around on the boardwalk.
You guys were addicted to it. I was concerned that you were giving it some color. You know, it was like absolutely funny. So, first of all, I got your phone number right here, but SearchLabDigital.com. Now, let me talk to Mark a second. Mark, let's talk the economics of doing business with you. Do dealers save money? Is it cost effective? Talk to me.
Oh yeah, that's the idea. So we're always focused on return on investment. The metrics that we look at largely are about your conversions, about your bottom line, and every month we're going to be transparent to those results. So we're going to have a call with you. We're going to show the results, and it's all about, you know, you invest X amount of money in SearchLab, you should get a return on that investment. Whether we're looking at it from an SEO lens or from a PPC lens or both, everything's about getting more money in return on ad spend. And I think that's the only way to do marketing.
Google is the battlefield. Dealers have to realize that. Google is the showroom. It's the battle. Your website's the showroom. Google's the battlefield.
That's it. I mean, everybody's looking for new cars. They're going to be going on Google. To Mark's point, they're going to be going to Google a lot of times. There are some like hilarious stories of people who went to Google like 300 times before they bought a used car. And so if you're not there, you're very simply, you know, missing out on customers. And so, you know, by taking advantage of services like local SEO and PPC, you stand a better chance against your competition.
So we're actually watching the ROI. So many dealers, they're using an agency, and the agency, you know, SEO is part of what they do. It's not everything they do, and they're not completely transparent about the ROI. The dealers don't know what they're getting for what they're spending.
Yeah, and it's a lot of acronyms to keep track of: SEO, SEM, PPC. But the acronym that really should matter is DISC. Like, does it sell cars or doesn't it? And if we're not selling cars, then we want to be a good partner to everybody. I want to do good business with you. If we're not helping you do that, let's not keep working. But we've had amazing retention for our clients, especially in automotive, because the results are there.
And it's not just about selling cars, though, because there's a big kind of question now among a lot of dealers of should they cut back on marketing spend because of the chip shortage and nobody has inventory. And if you don't have cars on the ground, why are you doing SEO? Mm-hmm. But guess what? You're still selling used cars. You're still doing trade-ins on used cars. You're still buying used cars. You're still doing all the fixed stop stuff that you do. So instead of quitting because, hey, I don't have any new cars to sell, focus on the areas where you can still make money. And
there's still demand, and people are still looking.
Absolutely
exactly.
Right.
Like historic highs, actually. You look at Microsoft actually released a stat earlier this month that since the beginning of the year, search traffic for used cars is up 86%.
Wait. That's coming out of Microsoft?
That's coming out of Microsoft. And so that's just...
You didn't just reach back and pull that figure out of your anatomy. I mean,
nope. And I promise that if you call me out on it, I'm happy to cite a primary source, all of that good details. But this is one of those things that people are looking out there. There is no shortage of market demand. And it's really just they're trying to find, it's no longer even just a game of can they find you online, but now it's about can they find that unique dealership that has the inventory or that can solve the problem that they're looking for today in 2021. And so the campaign, the pages, the content, the GMB that you set up in 2018 when things were business as normal, it's not necessarily the solution that they're looking for today because it's a crazier world out there. And so search traffic has changed, performance has changed, and you need a partner that can be agile to that, knowing, like we chatted about the Ford market in Dallas. Well, I sit in Boston. It's a very different market up here in Boston than it's down in Dallas. And you need someone who can be agile to knowing the fact that you can't copy and paste the same solution that worked 3 years ago in a different market over here.
I have definitely been to Boston. It's a bit different. I said, what is this body of water called? It's a haba. What?
Yeah, our coffee is cold, our weather is bad, and I love it.
Absolutely. So anyway, Greg, back to building their GMB.
Yes.
Okay. First of all, if they call you, you will do a digital analysis on their SEO, correct?
Correct.
And you'll give them a report no matter whether they do business with you or not. I mean,
exactly.
It's not a sales presentation. You will absolutely give them a meaningful analysis of how their SEO is doing.
Yep.
Search engine optimization. Are you winning in Google? That's what basically you're going to tell them. You're winning, you're losing, where you're losing, how you're losing. So you will, part of SearchLab's MO is you're going to build and manage their GMB.
Yes.
That, I can't tell you how important that is, because so many dealers don't even have a GMB. That nobody on their staff has ever built it. If they haven't built it, they haven't updated it.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there that I've seen just looking at those 25 dealers for the scoring for the 20 group this weekend, where it's like, geez, guys, I know that not every dealership goes to conferences, but I know there's enough material out there among all of the different Facebook groups and Clubhouse groups and blogs and places to go where you can learn this stuff, that even if you're not using a vendor and don't have anybody in-house, you should know that these are best practices that will help your dealership. And like half of these dealers out of the 25 aren't doing all the things they should do. And especially on the Google My Business side, there's some really basic stuff on Google My Business these guys aren't doing right. So you'd honestly, I mean, because you used to run Battle Plan and you have friends that do this stuff like me. So you hear about the things that you should do. You'd really be surprised how many dealerships out there just haven't touched their GMB in years and haven't done anything with it. And it's just wrong.
Last time I had you on a broadcast, I called one of my biggest clients, a client that has spent $3 million with me over the last 30 years. I mean, one of my largest clients. And I said to him, I said, look, I just looked at your GMB and some of your dealers, he's got 5 stores. I said, some of your stores, it sucks. Some of them don't even have one. And I mean, this is one of the biggest dealers. I'm not going to name him because it was embarrassing to him. And I referred him to you. He, for some reason, he stuck with his agency, which another story. But you know, all in all, they didn't have it. And I can't believe a company as progressive as they are did not have the GMB after I learned about it from you.
Yeah,
absolutely incredible. Well, Mark,
try again.
Yeah. Mark, as we wind down, let's give them 5 bullet points why they should do business with you.
No, I appreciate it. So the first thing that we like to stress is that we don't work with any of your competitors. So we touched on that on this broadcast. Like, there's no conflict of interest if we're exclusive in a market. And so
any market, if you're a Ford dealer, you would be the only Ford dealer that SearchLab works with in that market.
That's correct. And so I think that's a huge advantage for automotive dealers. Just the peace of mind.
Websites and agencies and SEO companies, none of them are exclusive.
None of them are. And so I believe there's this gigantic conflict of interest that exists when you have that. And so from the beginning, we never did that. I think our talent speaks for itself. So the other reason that you would want to do it is I think we have the top talent in the industry. Third parties have verified that. You'll see Greg and Mark at every conference you can go to, and our competitors go to conferences to learn from them. So that's sort of
that is an absolute fact. Okay, so and we're not looking at the whole depth of the bench here. I mean, these are your
I mentioned we mentioned product expert. Like our director of SEO is a product expert in maps and GMB. So like we have a deep team. Experience in automotive, years of experience in the business. And this is like, this is a growing company that I would say, like, you want to try and get, if you're in a competitive market, you want to try and get on board now, because we're probably going to be working with one of your competitors soon.
Exactly. I'm telling you right now, I went to the Valvoline place to get my oil changed. And, and the reason I went to the Valvoline place is it takes 3 hours at a dealership. I mean, quick lube in any dealership is not a quick lube. So another story. So I go to get my Valvoline oil change, and they upsold me some stuff. I mean, they really did a great job. And at the end, the Valvoline guy, this is a Valvoline oil place. He said, "Mr. Ziegler, do you have a cell phone?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Would you do me a favor and pull up our website?" He guided me through it. And he had me do a Google rating on their GMB right there.
Isn't that amazing?
I mean, dealerships are so behind. I mean, when the Valvoline people are outperforming us and got better processes than we do, that's just absolutely amazing to me. So you gave me 3 bullet points on why people should do business with SearchLab Digital. Give me a couple more. Strain yourself a little bit, guys. What else? What else should they be looking at to do business with you?
I mean, I think the other big selling point is when you look at a lot of our competitors, and we hire a lot, right? So we're taking people from other agencies. We really make the client to consultant ratio very small, whether that's on the paid side or the SEO side. So I'll interview people who, they were at a place that's working in automotive where they had 50 clients. They had 50 different automotive dealers. They're really not going, I mean, I'm just going to break it to you. They're not going to invest much time in 50 automotive dealers. It's impossible.
If somebody's got 50 accounts, and I mean, we all know DealerSocket just laid off, 200 people,
Right. Yeah.
They put some top talent on the streets, so you're hiring top talent, number one. You're not making one representative have 50 accounts. I mean, they have time to individually dedicate to their clients, and they're calling on them. They're listening to their problems. They're referring them to the staff, Greg and Mark. So you've got a system in place where they get personalized service. That's the word we're looking for.
That's it. Right? And you know what? Like my message is just as much for those prospective SEOs as it is for new business, because we're getting new business from Greg and Mark left and right. One of my stressors in life is trying to keep up with hiring and getting the talent that we need. And so good people like this about SearchLab. They like that they can really dig in, solve problems for their clients, and do good work. Like, they don't want to do 50 clients of SEO. Like, that's too much. They want to do good work, and they want to be able to get their hands on the problem and really get to know their client.
Fantastic. Okay, I'm going to go to Mark Irvine for a second. Mark, as we wrap up this broadcast, what have we not covered that we really need to talk about?
I really think that a big thing that both Greg and I are going to say is that your dealership, wherever you are, it's unique. It's different than everyone else. And if you find yourself in this place where you feel like you're being treated like you are a checkbox car dealership, Ford dealership, Hyundai dealership, Nissan dealership, it's because you are. And if no one, quite frankly, if your current vendor or your current in-house person has not told you no to anything recently, it's because they don't care enough about your business to tell you no about something that you shouldn't be doing or something that you shouldn't be spending money on. And so with that, if you're not hearing no, they're either not pushing hard enough or you're not being taken care well of.
Interesting. Greg, I'm going to pass the ball to you. We did a lateral. Brady just gave you the ball. Okay. What have we not talked about?
One of the other important things about what kind of sets us apart, besides not working with competitors, is the way that we structure the teams here. Most agencies out there are going to have a team-based approach where you're going to have some people do, the technical stuff. Some people will do the writing. Some people will do the optimization. Some people will do Google. Some people will do reviews. And you'll have an account manager that you talk to. And that account manager's job is to just talk to all the different dealerships. And they don't actually do any of the work. And a lot of times don't even know how to do the work. And it's a really disjointed kind of amorphous approach. Somebody's going to come in and write a blog post for your dealership that knows nothing about you whatsoever. They're just ticking off, yep, gave them a blog post. Yep, gave them a blog post. Yep, gave them a blog post. Where with us, one person does everything on the SEO side. and one person does everything on the paid search side. So the same person is doing the analysis of your dealership, creating the unique strategy for your dealership, and executing on that strategy. So it's a more comprehensive approach, and it's a more targeted approach. And that's why we get better results than a lot of the other guys.
Fantastic. So they can call you or text you at 312-584-4757, number at the bottom of the screen, Greg at SearchLab Digital. And they can go to searchlabdigital.com and find out more information on the company and contact you.
Yep.
That's right.
That's where it's at.
Definitely.
So anyway, Mark Bealin, this has been a really good broadcast. I will have this all over social media in the next couple of days. 10:30 in the morning, we get a limited number of viewers, but the replays on this thing are going to go crazy. I mean, we're going to get a lot of people, and I'm really glad that Greg's highlighting a double session at Digital Dealer. I mean, so if you're going to Digital Dealer, you want to see this guy in person.
You're going to be there, aren't you, Jim?
No, I can't travel right now.
That's a bummer.
We've talked to Digital Dealer, and I spoke yesterday. I spoke to Melissa Green and Alyssa Cavaruso. I spoke to both of them yesterday. I've been practicing her last name. But anyway, I spoke to both of them yesterday, and I'm going to be a main stage speaker, probably opening speaker at the next Tampa event.
Awesome. I will be super happy to see you in person again, my friend.
Looking forward to that.
We'll talk about what I'd do if I bought your dealership. Remember, I did that speech 5 years ago, 20 things I'd do if I bought your dealership. Well, now we're going to shift it to 2021. In today's market, considering all the changes and the digital changes we've made, the process changes we've made, what would I do if I bought your dealership?
That'll be a good one.
You'll nail that.
Bought your dealership in today's market. I've got a lot of material to talk about, and by next year, who knows what additional material I'll have. So we'll do that. Well, listen, this has been a great broadcast. Mark Bealin, thanks for having me.
Thanks, Jim. This was great. It's always great to hang out with you. I love it so much. It's like I was a little tired when I got in here. It's like I had like a quadruple, espresso here or something like that. I feel energized and ready to go.
Yeah, I always get that latte with the extra shot, I'm not up to those double Red Bulls yet, but I'm headed there. Well, listen, everybody, this has been my broadcast with SearchLab Digital. And by the way, in case you didn't realize, a lot of humor in the broadcast. The reason for that is the three guys you see on the bottom of the screen right now, they're personal friends of mine. I mean, this is not just a business relationship. It's not just a formal relationship. These guys are friends of mine, and I really appreciate them. So anyway, SearchLab Digital, if you really want to see the results, cost-effective, transparent, exclusive in the market, these are the guys you need to call. So, stop procrastinating. Write the damn check already. Okay, guys. We're going to end it. Stick around.